Yeah, first of all, obviously, want to thank our fans again for the amazing turnout on Saturday. It was awesome down there. It was my family's first experience. They were on the field for Enter Sandman and rolling in there, and my college teammate was there with his wife, and just awesome. So appreciate everybody selling the game out and making it a great environment for our players and our coaches. I think this weekend it's Hall of Fame weekend with Kyle Fuller and David Wilson going in. Awesome opportunity. I hope those guys can be here. We want to roll out the orange and maroon carpet for them, and have a heck of a crowd again this weekend for a noon kick against a Big Ten team. So, for me, this is a great game to build on. I love that we were able to go 1-0. It's a great game to build on. We have several areas we have got to get better in if we want to be 1-0 again this weekend, and that was my message to the team. So the other thing I'll say is Nick Gallo has had season-ending surgery. So unfortunate for Nick. Our hearts go out to him, guy that had a strong conviction to come back and be a captain and a leader, which he's still going to have the ability to do that, and he will do that. He wants to do that. But as far as on the field, we won't have Nick available for the season. But he'll remain a captain. He'll be very involved, and I'm excited about that piece of it for him and for us. All right, I'll open it up for questions.
Raise your hand. We'll get your wireless mic. We'll start with Andy.
Without Nick at that tight end spot, you got Benji at the top spot right now on the depth chart. What do you see in his growth, and does it make you a little nervous having 3 second-year guys there without the veteran like Gallo on the depth chart?
Yeah, it was a really strong room, I thought, with Nick and his experience and maturity coupled with those guys. I think now it's, there's added pressure. I'm going to rely on Nick, and obviously Coach Holt and Jeff Carpenter works with the tight ends as well in an analyst role. But we've got to just bring those guys along a little faster. I really like all 3 of them. I think we're very fortunate to have 3 young tight ends in the program like those guys. Benji played mid-50s, 56, 57, 58 snaps on Saturday. I think Daquan had close to 20, and Harry had maybe a dozen. So, we'll look at the snap disbursement and see how that goes over the next couple weeks. But, the thing it does for me is we probably, you'll see a 4th tight end. Is that Zeke Winbush? Is that Cole Pickett? We're going to have to bring along a 4th guy in light of possible future injuries and still having the ability to play some 2 tight end sets.
When you went back and looked at your run game from Saturday, probably wanted more yards than you had. Was that a matter of how you guys were executing? Was that a matter of how ODU was defending you? What do you see on the film when you look back?
Yeah, I thought Old Dominion did a nice job. They really plutzed the box, put heavy numbers in there, got downhill quickly. They did a good job. I thought the backs did a nice job. There wasn't many missed opportunities. I thought there was a lot of second effort. Some things from an execution standpoint we could clean up. I would say we didn't have near the just quick misses that we've had, that we had some trouble with last year. Plays had more of a chance, but obviously we need improvement there. And there's a couple ways we're looking at doing that.
Back to Gosnell, the adversity he's faced over the last 2 years through multiple surgeries and then going out there and playing 50-plus snaps and playing really well. How would you grade how he performed and how he has really developed since getting on campus?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you now, that was a bunch of work for him. His first game, coming off an ACL injury, can't say enough good things about his development, his maturity, the job that Coach Holt's done with him. He's got a great family. Love him and his brother being in the program and how they work and how they're invested. But Benji's one of those guys, got a really good, varied skill set. He does everything at a pretty good level. He's got to continue to get bigger, stronger, learn the offense, all these things. But he really works at it. And, testament to him, that's how he approached his rehab. He was ahead of schedule, by week 2 or 3, just working above and beyond the expectations to get back and to be well. So he's just got to get better each week, like most of those young guys.
Looking at the cornerback play, Dorian and Mansour both played really well, took away ODU's top receivers. Is that type of play going to be needed against the air raid offense and what Purdue likes to do?
Yeah, I don't think our corners were challenged much Saturday. We weren't effective enough stopping the run. We didn't make them throw the ball often enough to challenge those guys. I think what was asked of them, they did a nice job.
Benji and Steven both had a catch on Saturday. Have you ever had that happen before? Where I know you have the Moore brothers and you have the McDonald brothers. Have you ever had that happen in your career where two brothers have a catch like that in the same game?
Not that I can think of. I've been on the other side of the ball. I don't know if I've paid much attention to it, but they did it in a scrimmage in the preseason, which was cool. I remember kind of thinking about that then. They were both excited about it. Awesome family. I'm excited about both those guys and their future with our program.
When you went back and looked at the defense and the way you guys got pressure on Saturday, what stood out to you, when you went back and watched the film?
Yeah, honestly, I think we did a better job. Some of the investment paid off. We won more one-on-one battles. I thought we were better with our hands. We were better getting on edges, kept our feet alive. Some things that are characteristic to good pass rush, we did a better job of. It was good to see. I thought one of APR's sacks was a great example of just a low shoulder bend. He's literally got that inside hand in the grass, and at times that's some of your most effective pass rush.
Back of the room, Anthony.
Brent, is the quarterback, timeshare, I guess, something that's still sort of a game-to-game thing for you guys? And how do you kind of see that playing out this week?
Yeah, the approach right now would be exactly the same. Go into the game with a package, with tagged plays. I really want people to have to defend Kyron's skill set. And I still want to, we're still very much committed to developing him each and every week. So I'd like to see his play count go up.
Colby and then Andy.
Ryan Walters was on the sideline for that 9 overtime game a couple years back, and he held that stout offense only 10 points in regular time. How do you prepare and really hone in this week leading into the game that you got to start out strong and be efficient in the red zone as he is such a stout defensive-minded coach?
Yeah, I think, it's going to be a good matchup that way. They've cut some great size up front, and I think their front seven do a real nice job, and they're committed to stopping the run and being physical. What I got a ton of respect for is they have a great plan. They know who they are defensively. The identity that he had at Illinois with that group proved to be very successful, and that's what he's trying to emulate there at Purdue, and you certainly see signs of it.
Have you crossed paths with him much in the coaching circuits at all?
No, I really haven't. I'm not sure of his whole background, but we certainly had a juggernaut of a day, 10-10 into overtime, and then 9 overtimes later. But there was some good defense out there that day.
I was going to say, what is that like where you guys are just trading 2-point tries over and over?
Yeah, I think we went 5 straight with nobody scoring on the 2-point plays. I can't remember exactly, but I walked off the field that day saying, "Man, those guys played some nice defense too." I mean, it was a good day if you were a defender, but we came up short.
Can you remember a higher pressure situation for a coordinator than the game's on the line every single time you line up at that point?
Yeah. I think I just kept hoping, just just get us in there, man. Just score one. We actually dropped one in the end zone on a 2-point play that would have ended it. Again, just a tremendous amount of respect for the caliber of defense they played there, and it created the opportunity for him at Purdue. And I think you see signs of it already. The standards and expectations, are very high for what they're going to do on that side of the ball.
There were a number of low snaps on Saturday. And do you have any of those issues in preseason with Caden, or is it just kind of sort of
No, and truth be told, he was cramping some, and that was the root of it. We had a couple guys. I think we had 4 that required IVs, and Caden was cramping, and it was affecting his snapping.
Though you probably didn't get the yardage you wanted in the run game, did you like what you see out of Tootin? I think he had like 10 missed tackles forced or something like that.
Yeah.
Was he as advertised? What you thought?
I was not disappointed. I thought maybe coming off the field, what more could those guys have done? Like, I think we're going to see where. And when I watched the film, I thought they played really, a pretty good football game. Broke tackles, made a couple guys miss, didn't miss many holes. I thought he and Malachi both played a pretty solid game. I'll tell you this, they protected very well. You talk about giving up no sacks, and the O-line did a nice job at those backs, and even the tight ends did a really nice job in protection. Malachi and Bayshaw were physical in their pass pro.
When you went back and watched film of the Purdue game this past weekend, what stands out to you about this Purdue offense that you guys are going to face on Saturday?
Yeah, they got some explosive guys, whether it's 3 coming out of the backfield and lining out at receiver, and then obviously number 4, just that play he has with the slant. He breaks a couple of tackles, he's physical, he's quick, and then he accelerates and shows his speed. I mean, that's a big-time play. I think he hit 22 miles per hour on that particular play. So they got a freshman he was a All-American freshman tailback. So they got quite a few guys. They got a high-profile quarterback, and they got a pretty good-sized front.
You mentioned the run defense, and you said Saturday night you felt the fits weren't there. Looking back on film, what did you see in terms of how ODU was able to get those big runs and what adjustments you guys could make?
Yeah, I thought the defensive line fit things pretty well. It was our second-level fits with our linebackers and our safeties that weren't near what they need to be. It was disappointing, to be honest, and a big area of emphasis for us this week.
Was that a bit of a surprise considering what they were showing during fall camp?
Yeah, I think we were surprised. I think the tempo, as I mentioned, I think there were some formation in plays that we didn't expect. Week 1, that happens. Being able to make adjustments quickly and get things fitted up the right way. Those guys were disappointed, themselves, and we got to be better than that, and we have been.
Have you ever had to scheme against Have you ever had to scheme against an air raid offense before?
Oh yeah.
And what are the challenges with that?
Yeah, I think you got to look at matchups, and you got to look at the concepts and make sure you're aligning your coverage the right way, what's best, and then look at your matchups. I think that's always an important question, but particularly against air raid teams, that you got the right people in the right places to defend those guys the best.
Let's go out to Zoom for a couple.
On Zoom, please use the raise hand feature to ask questions for Coach Pry. And we'll start with David Teal, please.
Right. You referenced Tyrone Tracy by number 3 on the second half kickoff return for 98 yards. Was that just a breakdown in coverage? Did he make an athletic move? How did that all unfold?
Yeah, there was a little bit of a breakdown, I believe, David, but he made a nice play too and showed his speed. I think he's a guy that, he's an impact player for them.
Go to Mike Barber next, please.
Yeah, Coach, one looking back, one looking forward, but I wanted to ask you, Old Dominion, how different was their offense? How much did they change from last year into what you ended up seeing Saturday?
Yeah, they were significantly different. I think the tempo was, They got lined up very quick. They didn't always snap it quickly, but they got lined up quick. We thought we'd see much more one-back stuff, and they ended up attaching the tight end quite a bit more than we expected. But it was to a degree the offense that that we studied for the most part, with a few wrinkles that I think helped them.
And then in terms of your quarterback play, how would you evaluate Grant? What did you like, and what were some areas that still maybe concern you?
Yeah, I thought it was probably his best game as a Hokie. Certainly didn't play perfect, but made good decisions, threw the ball pretty well, and had a few drops. I think there were 3 drops in the game. But I would say he would feel the same way. This is a great game for him to build on, to continue to grow as a quarterback and be a type of guy that can lead us to, continue to lead us to some victories.
Thank you.
We'll go to Steve next.
Brent, this first time against a Big Ten opponent since you've been here. Are there some aspects to the Big Ten football that makes it unique that you picked up during your time there?
Yeah, I don't know. That'd be tough over 8 years. The league changed some, and we were certainly a league for a long time that you had multiple tight end sets, and then the next week you'd have spread, throw it all around the yard. You'd have big boy 2-back ball, multiple tight ends, and then playing empty, 40 snaps. So it was challenging that way as a defensive play caller, but a pretty physical league. We had some good games against Purdue, but for me it's kind of about our personnel and where we're at as a team, and they've got a brand new staff. They've got a bunch of transfers that have come in and trying to help them, and getting a good feel for who they are and who they want to be offensively, defensively. They got experienced guys coming back at kicker and punter. They got a punt returner that's a good player. They got a kick returner that's a good player. Freshman of the week in the Big Ten on defense. So they got some good things going for them. It was a shootout. They lost. They easily could have won that game.
Thank you.
Any final questions on Zoom for Coach Pry? All right, Travis.
All right, I think we have 1 or 2 more in the room. Here we go, Colby.
Circling back to what you said about the run defense at that second level, what did you see out of Jaden Keller in his first game at that Mike and the leader on defense and his leadership there, and what adjustments are you going to try and implement into Purdue this weekend?
Yeah, well, first of all, the adjustments are just to fit things correctly. There's no adjustments needed. Secondly, Jaden played pretty well, played pretty solid. I'd say solid's probably the better word. Want to see him be a little bit more active, and want to see him lead a little bit better, get things set a little bit more firmly. But I thought for him, first game at Mike linebacker, that's a big deal, and I thought he handled it pretty well. And I think again, it's a guy that if he'll build on that, then it makes sense.
Go to Raza and finish with Dave.
Coach Pry, last week you said, we're seeing it more and more often now in college football that the group of 5 is beating the Power 5. You guys are going up against a team that just came off a loss to a group of 5 team in Fresno State. First of all, why do you think that is? And then secondly, as somebody who experienced that kind of loss last year, what do you think the mindset is like right now in that program?
I think they're focused on us, focused on being 1-0 this week. I read Coach Walter's comments, and again, I think sometimes you look at it and you say, okay, if you don't play your A game, these guys are good enough to beat you. Sometimes if you don't play a B+ game, they're good enough to beat you. Sometimes it's about depth with the group of 5 schools. I know being in those at that level and coaching at that level, we'd have 4 or 5 guys that we felt like could maybe play for the other team, for the Power 5 school. But Fresno had some athletic guys, had good speed. I mean, watching that offensive film, they got a good football team. I believe they'll win some games. Win a fair number of games. But I think depth is usually the biggest thing. where it can get you.
Last one, David. Front row.
You guys played a number of true freshmen on Saturday. What'd you like? What you saw about from Braylon, from Caleb, from Aiden, from those true freshmen that got their first collegiate snaps?
It was just good to see him out there. There was plenty of mistakes to be made, but I thought Braylon in particular was just energized and excited, and didn't seem like it was too big for him. We just got to keep getting those guys reps where we can and developing them. There'll be some more guys play this weekend.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.